Distinguished and honored guests, officers and non-commissioners alike, ladies and gentlemen, welcome and good day. It is with great humility and honor that I am here representing William Hall's living relatives, and we would like to thank you all for attending this historic keel laying ceremony. And it is most befitting that this ceremony is taking place during Black History Month. A ship, Her Majesty's Canadian ship, in the service of the Royal Canadian Navy, bearing the name of a Victoria Cross recipient, a Black Nova Scotian, and the son of slaves, will begin its transformation into a proud fighting vessel. Let's take a moment and reflect upon that. A Canadian naval vessel bearing the name of a Black man. When William Hall was born in Hortons Bluff, Nova Scotia in 1829, slavery was still legal throughout the British Empire. It wasn't until 1833 that it was abolished. When Hall distinguished himself at the Battle of Lucknow in May of 1857, for which he was subsequently awarded the Victoria Cross in October of 1859, blacks had only been considered legally free persons for only 24 and 60 years respectively. Yet in the United States, slavery would not be abolished until 1865. Though this is an historic occasion for both the Royal Canadian Navy and the Canadian Armed Forces as a whole, we must never forget that from 1910 until 1943, should Hall have been a young man wishing to join the Royal Canadian Navy, he would never have been granted permission to serve. The reason being institutionalized racism. It was official policy until 1943 that all personnel had to be, and I quote, of pure European descent of the white race, end quote, before an application would even be accepted. Thankfully, policies, institutions, attitudes, and people have all evolved over the last 78 years. The Canadian Armed Forces and all of its elements have both men and women of all races, colors, creeds, religions, national origins, sexual orientation, and various walks of life serving within its ranks. This is a great testament to both the country and the armed forces for which we have evolved into. A country and armed forces that values respect and dignity for all, where a person is valued for their gifts and abilities, not judged by their gender or race. It is important that all Canadians know about the HMCS William Hall. It represents a Royal Canadian Navy and Canadian Armed Forces that has come to value diversity and inclusion. Knowing and seeing a Canadian naval vessel bearing the name of a Black Nova Scotian, a Black Canadian, and a Black naval herald will allow those blacks and other minorities throughout Canada to feel maybe there is a place for them within our ranks. In order for all blacks and all other visible minorities to feel welcomed within our ranks, they first must see others like themselves within our ranks and positions of leadership. The HMCS William Hall will be that glimmering beacon that diversity and inclusion is valued within the Canadian Armed Forces, just like the Chief of Defense Staff is prioritizing today. If Hall was alive today, he would be wondering what all the fuss is all about, naming a ship after him. The reason being, he was a humble and simple man. When after retiring from the Royal Navy in 1876, having served 23 years of active service and rising to the highest rank for a non-commissioned member at the time, Petty Officer First Class, Hall was offered a well-paying position at Whitehall in London, but declined it. Instead, he returned to Hantsport at the age of 47 after having been away from home sailing the world for almost 30 years. He chose a humble life of farming and shipbuilding. He was not interested in the big city, wealth, or power. He wanted to return to a simple and quiet life. The reason why I make mention of this is because Hall served quietly, honorably, and with distinction. He felt that he owed a debt to the British for saving his parents from a life of slavery in the U.S. For him, service was duty, for which service was its own reward. To all the men and women that will have a hand in fabricating this fine vessel, I say to you all, you are following in the footsteps of history. Nova Scotia has a proud history of shipbuilding. And as you all know, Hall too was a shipbuilder. But more than that, you are each building a piece of history, a testament to how great a country Canada has become and will continue evolving to be, as well as a strong and proud Canadian Navy. It is the heartfelt hope of all the Hall's living relatives that his story will inspire and motivate all those that have heard his story, that all those that serve upon the HMCS William Hall will possess the same fighting spirit, courage, devotion to duty, silent service, and humbleness that Hall demonstrated throughout his entire life. I cannot think of a more fitting honor for William Hall, VC, than to have one of Canada's newest naval vessels to bear his name with the prefix, Her Majesty's Canadian Ship. On behalf of all of the relatives of William Hall, we thank you for attending this heroic event. Thank you.